Hey everyone, Jason here. Welcome back to the layout. It's been a minute, as you can guess. Life's pretty busy, but I had a package arrive today that I'm really excited to open. It's from K&R Custom Signals. They have been working with me to get some signals for the layout. They finally shipped the final product to me this week, and so we're going to go upstairs, grab the package, and open it up to take a look at how these new signals look. Pretty exciting. So I actually received two boxes this week from K&R Custom Signals. The one on the bottom came a few days ago. Those had the G-type style signal, and the one on top has the streetlight signals inside. So let's go ahead and look at an example of each one. So let's start with the G-type signals. These were commonly used by several railroads, but New York Central used a lot of these throughout their network, and in the Norfolk Southern area where I grew up, they still had a lot of these in place. Most of them have been replaced by the Vader hood style signals, but my layout is supposed to take place from anywhere from 1995 to 2015, so these would still be a common sight during that era. K&R Signals actually made these for me by request. They didn't have these in the product lineup, but I asked them if they would be willing to make something like this, and they said absolutely. So after paying them a startup fee to design them and exchanging a few emails as well as some production samples back and forth, we finally landed on the models that you have in front of you. The signal on the left is a single head, which is product number 601, and the signals on the right are the double head, product number 602. The G-types are easily identifiable. They're a round signal head with 3 separate light indications on each one of those round heads. The nice thing about these signals as well is that each one has a number plate included in the packaging. It's right here. It can actually snap on to the bottom of the signal. So if you want to run a numbered plate or a lettered plate, you have the option to do so, or you can keep it removed, like I probably will, so that they'll operate as block signals. All right, now moving on to the streetlight styled signals, and I haven't even opened this box yet, so I know what they should look like, but I haven't seen these yet. All right, here's the first one. It's a single head streetlight style signal. These would have been used, again, by several railroads. The Nickel Plate Road is another railroad that I grew up close to, and they had a lot of these streetlight style signals, so that's why I got these as well. And how cool is this? Each one of these comes with a sticker that says made in the USA. Ken and Richard make these out of their home. They're 3D printed in the US, they're designed in the US, and they hand paint each one of these. How cool is that? In this hobby, everyone's always complaining about how products aren't made in the USA, but here's your chance to buy some really nice signals that are very well priced and made in the USA. And here is the dual head streetlight style signal. So I ordered 4 of the streetlight styles in total, 2 of the single head and 2 of the dual head. And I ordered 6 of the G-type style signals. I think I got 3 of the single head and 3 of the dual head. So I'm gonna take these out of the packaging. I'm gonna place them around the layout of where I anticipate them to be installed. But before we do that, I want to make a special shout out to Ken and Rich Oehrig, who make these signals. They were awesome to work with. They were really receptive to my ideas or critiques, really quick to reply to emails, just overall great to work with. And a special shout out to Ken, who just celebrated his 76th birthday. Ken, happy birthday to you. You're doing an awesome job making these signals. I'm really happy with them. Keep up the great work. So I've gone ahead and placed the signals around the layout where I plan for them to be permanently. One of the dual heads is going to be right here, and that's going to be protecting the switch which decides if a train is going to continue around the outside loop or whether it's going to descend to the lower level. All of these signals will be wired as prototypically as I possibly can make them. Signal wiring can be a bit intimidating. It's certainly something that I had to educate myself on, and I will probably make a video in the future on how I wire my signals. But moving on, if I come back to the right, here is the other dual head signal. This one will be protecting this switch, which again, it either decides to go around the outside loop and continue running, or this switch will lead to the top level. The single-headed streetlight style signals will be right here. And again, protecting that switch. So they will operate based on the position of the switch and whether or not a train is operating in the block. Moving over to the double main line inside track, this is where I have the two single head G-type signals right before it goes into the tunnel. And then towards the back, I have a double head G-type signal, which protects the switch going into the small yard where the big boy is sitting. And the one on the other side is just going to be your standard block signal for a clear track. Now each one of these signals has a board built into the base. The base itself is about 3/4 of an inch thick. So I'm probably going to cut holes in my table so that I can lower the signal a little bit, but you don't have to do that if you wanted to just mount the signal on your table as is, and you could always cover the base with ground cover, or maybe you don't mind how it looks at all. But this the actual board for the signals are built into the signal, and I'll show you how that works in just a second. It's also worth mentioning that each signal comes with its own instruction booklet on how to wire the signals. And I forgot to mention, the streetlight style, the single head is model 201, the dual head is model 202. So if I open up the instruction booklet, it gives you a pretty clear explanation on how you can wire these using an isolated rail. And then a second piece of paper, a note from K&R Custom Models, specifications on the street light signal itself. So a quick demonstration on how these signals operate, pretty straightforward. There's only 3 wires for each signal head. The red wire I have currently connected to the power center rail, the black wire to the outside or the ground rail, and the white wire is what actually activates the signal. So if you're using an isolated piece of track or some kind of sensor, the white wire is what triggers the signal to drop from green to red. So if I touch that to the outside rail, the signal goes red. So if a train were to leave that block or suddenly the wire wasn't grounded, the signal goes to yellow for 10 seconds before ultimately returning to the green position. So you can utilize these signals several different ways. You can have the ground wire hooked up to a dead rail or isolated rail. You could also use any of the sensors offered by Z-Stuff, MTH, Lionel, you name it. So a lot of different options. I'm going to be using these using isolated rail sections. And as I mentioned before, I'll probably do a review of how I actually do the wiring. I'm still learning because I've never wired signals before, and it's a learning process for me. So once I have it perfected, I'll be sure to share it with you guys. So I've got the first signal temporarily in place, but it's all wired up as to how it's going to be operating. And as you can see, the top light is green, the lower light is red to indicate that the track that continues straight and around the layout is the track that's lined up at the switch. If I change the switch position using my DCS remote right here, if I throw the switch to the lower level, the signal head on the top switches to red and the lower signal goes to yellow for 10 seconds and eventually to green. So now it indicates that the switch is positioned to go to the lower level. And if I activate on the DCS remote to return to the straight position, the switch changes, the top light goes yellow for 10 seconds, eventually to green, and the lower signal is red. So this is how I am going to know what position the switch is in, because when the top level is built, I actually won't be able to see this switch. It's going to be hidden under the town on the upper level. So getting the signals to change based on switch position is one thing, but getting them to activate while the train passes by is another. I activate my signals using what's called an isolated rail section. Essentially, one of the outside rails is isolated from the rest of the track power, and when a train enters a block section, the wheels of the engine or car complete the connection between the two outside rails, and it activates whatever wire or accessory wires attached to that track. So let me demonstrate that really quick. I have 3 isolated sections past this switch, and I will point them out. There is one section right here because I can't isolate the switch. So there's a section right here, and then there are 2 more on each route. So if a car is in any of those sections of track, the signal will activate and drop to red. So using this BNSF coal car, I will demonstrate how it's activated. The insulated section starts right here. So as the wheels of this car passes over that spot, the signal should change from green to red. There we go, it's working correctly. As long as the coal car is in that block or any of the blocks in front of the track, the signals will stay red. And so I just changed the switch position again, so now the lower signal aspect is green. Same thing, if the car passes into that block section, the lower signal also goes to red and will stay red until the car or train leaves that block. Now I know a lot of people are going to be asking me for a wiring diagram and instructions on how exactly I got all of these components to work together. I'll plan on doing that in a future video. I was learning along the way as I did this, so I didn't really have time to do any filming of the wiring, but luckily I have a whole bunch more signals that have to be wired, so I plan to do that in the future. And I didn't just figure this out all on my own. I asked a lot of people for advice and tips on how I could accomplish this, so a shout out to those people. That would be Dennis Provenzano, Ryan Harner, Charlie Stoya, Mark Sarver, Norm Charbonneau, and Rich Batista, all of whom had some kind of input or instructions on how I could do this, so big thanks to all of them. And as I said, I'm not going to go into a full depth as to how I wired these signals, but you can see the wires coming out from under there. Those tie into, here I'm laying on my back now, those tie into these 2 Atlas snap lock relays. So that's really the secret as to how I was able to accomplish this. One of them is in charge of controlling the signals based on switch position. The other one is where all of the block sections are tied into. So I don't have a wiring diagram right now, but this is how I accomplished the effect. Okay, so let's actually see a couple of trains run past these signals and watch them in action. Okay, so that's going to do it for this video. If you're interested in purchasing these signals, the single head G-type signal, which is on the far right, that's item number 601 and retails for $50. The double-headed G-type is number 602 and retails for $60. The streetlight signal single head number 201 is $45, and the two head number 202 is $55. If you do order a bunch of these at one time, Ken and Rich will likely offer you a discount. You can email them directly. They don't have a website set up yet. They do have these for sale on eBay, at Mr. Muffin's Trains, and at Legacy Station. But if you want to, you can purchase signals from them directly. You can reach them at either ken.oehrig@gmail.com or richardoehrig@gmail.com. So you really can't beat those prices compared to the other signals that are out on the market. There might be some that operate a little differently, some that could have a little more detail, etc., etc. But for the price and what you're getting, these are a great bang for the buck. I highly recommend them. I'm really happy to have them on my layout and get them all hooked up and operating correctly. I think you'll be really happy with these. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to ask questions in the comments below. I'll see you next time.